Yes, right here.
I'm going to answer that question in a moment, because there was a lot of stuff that was just said. That just, the old expression is one is entitled to their own opinion, but not their own facts. And I think that's what you just saw. Because, for example, first of all, I believe when it comes to engaging with terrorists, wherever they may be, this great country doesn't cut and run. We support our troops, and we get the job done. Why? Because it keeps this country safe. This is Mr. Harrison's plan. When he says he will not do anything, did he just say he will not do anything for Social Security? This is Mr. Harrison on the specifics of Social Security. Said he favored raising the retirement age, reducing or cutting Social Security benefits, and raising the salary with Social Security taxes are no longer siphoned. That's what he said. So again, there are those who want to get up and say one thing. And by the way, Mr. Harrison, tomorrow night in Brooklyn, I will still say Staten Island is the greatest place to raise my children. I love Brooklyn, but I still think this is the place I've chosen. For the housing. For the housing, at the end of it all, what I think first and foremost, we want to create a climate where people can build a nest egg of their own. Through investments, through IRAs, 401ks, letting them keep as much tax as they want. Mr. Harrison would undo the tax cuts to you and your families. That's $2,000 out of your pocket. If you have kids, with two kids, on average $2,000 more. He thinks he knows how to best spend that money. I say you do. Right. So it allows people like me to come to you and say we will create incentives, federal housing programs, putting aside land, whether it's on Staten Island or in Brooklyn, to provide incentives. But the best and surest way, if somebody can come here and promise you're going to build senior housing up and down the highway, the best way we can do that is create incentives for everybody to create their own degree of wealth, personal wealth, for you and your families to decide your future.
Thank you. When Vito came up here and he told you about that, about the Social Security, that is intended to save Social Security as it is. If you had to raise it by 6 months, 20 years from now in order to tweak it, the term is tweaking it. Okay, if you tweak the current, that would be fine. And when we talk about the current right now, anybody who makes more than $94,000 a year pays no taxes whatsoever on Social Security. Bill Gates, when he finishes paying his taxes? 10 seconds after midnight. All right, he should be paying Social Security taxes and we'd all be safe. That would save Social Security for you. In fact, it's all saved for you, for your children, which is all about. I want it for me, I'll tell you that, and I want it. Okay, with respect to the affordable housing, very good question. All right, over in Bay Ridge, one of the problems that we have there, it's called the NORC, a naturally occurring retirement community. And what we have to do is put more resources into this kind of housing that you're talking about. And there's different types. There's independent living, there's assisted living, there's, in fact, there's a number of communities, if you go out to Long Island, that I've seen, that I'd like to see, that kind of a community that would be built around here. And what it takes is investment. It's really that simple. Thank you very much for the question.
All the way in the back, George.
Yeah, I would like to know what can New Yorkers do to get more of their fair share of the funds for terrorists than like they sent to Utah and...
Go back to the number one issue, in my opinion, terrorism keeping this place safe. I stood up earlier this year to oppose the reductions to New York City in a bipartisan way. Just several weeks ago, got ratified in Congress more than about $30 million, close to $30 million, that would allow New York to participate in the fund program to high-threat, high-risk areas like New York City. It's still Exhibit A. It's still Exhibit A in the terrorist hit list as far as I'm concerned. So whether it's standing up to the administration or working with other my colleagues in Congress, we're going to continue to push to a high-threat, high-risk formula. And let me say this, that Mr. Harrison did not say when it comes to terrorism. I said I support aggressive interrogation within the law of terrorism. He does not. I said we should listen to terrorists when they're communicating with people here or anywhere around the world. He does not. When I said we should reinstate the Patriot Act that brought down the walls and barriers for law enforcement to thwart attacks like on the Brooklyn Bridge or those airlines, he does not. That's what you need to know. Those are the facts, and we need to ensure. Because let me tell you the additional burden we have on Staten Island Road. We know, we're blessed, that we have many firefighters, EMTs, and police officers. I wouldn't be surprised if many retirees in this room. They're the first guys to run into a burning building. So separate and apart from the innocent civilians, we know, through the grace of God, that these firefighters and police officers, EMT, will be the first ones to rush in. We have an additional obligation, Mr. Harrison, to ensure that we're never attacked again. So I say, listen to the terrorists, stop them before they act, and give law enforcement every tool they can to ensure we are not attacked in this community ever again.
Do we have any EMTs in the room? We have an EMT over here. That's my daughter. She runs into them. Do we have Michelle? Who are you married to?
A police officer.
A New York City police officer. And my family, I think I'm very interested, Congressman, in my daughter and in my son-in-law to make sure they're going to be well taken care of. All right? Here's what the problem is. What you're getting from Congressman Fossella is a very, very pigeonholed term. All right? I support, he says, the aggressive interrogation. Notice the term aggressive. What you're really talking about, Congressman, is the institutionalization, okay, and the first time ever that the United States of America will endorse torture. Okay, will endorse torture. That's what you're endorsing. We're talking about using torture. You're using torture. This is against American principles and against the Constitution. I will never, ever abide by that. Okay, now. With respect to the question back here, you're asking about where we're going to get the extra 30 or the $40 million that was not given to us according to the very legislature that was introduced by Congressman Fossella, correct? And what my feeling is that we need somebody here who is proactive as a congressman to make sure those things don't happen so that we have to repair it. And while we're repairing it, we're telling people that I'm working for you. He let that go. It fell between the cracks. With Steve Harrison and Democrats, it will not fall between the cracks, and we will go after the terrorists.
I'm trying to, we have about 2 more minutes, so we can only take 1 more question from the audience. All right. We did not schedule a debate, but rather a forum. So while teachers always think to the lesson plan. But what we tried to do really is to get an exchange. And what we wanted to do is to just answer 1 or 2 more questions that are very important to us as senior citizens.
Thank you, Congressman. How do you really